Dear children and parents, this is somewhat an unusual Vesak day. Usually on the Vesak day, we go to temple, we observe still, we listen to the sermons, and it's a different life. But this time, because of the COVID, we have to be at home. Sometimes, in Buddhism, we have to take advantage of the situation. Sometimes the challenges that we face, we take it to our advantage. And that's what we should be doing this year. We have more time with our children. Parents should observe that we have more time with our parents. Unlike in the previous times, now we can spend much of our time. We can be with our children. We can cook for our children. We can play with our children. This is all important because as parents, the Buddha said they are the Pubbacharya, they are the Kalyana Mitra. The best of friends are the parents to the children. To the children are the parents. So we have to take advantage of that. And we have to see what we have to do, what we have, with circumspection, mindfully, for the advantage of our children. One of the things that I would like to mention is that the COVID situation in the world now, it's somewhat different from the other earlier epidemics that we have had. Even during the time of the Buddha, there was the Vesali. There was an epidemic during that time, an epidemic of a sort. Then we have a thing called the Black Death. Somewhere in the 14th century, the number that died was said to be 75 million to 200 million. And we had the Spanish flu just after the First World War in 1918. And in that, there was, the deaths were 75 million, more than the number that died during the First World War. So these things, but this time is slightly different because the change, there is the change in the environment. We have to be very mindful of that. During that time, we didn't have they didn't speak of the climatic changes that's happening. So we have the climatic changes, we have the warming up of the world, and we have the oceans getting more water, and then that's another problem. So all these, the environment has changed very much. Why? Because of our change of our luxurious life of the countries, of the nations. We have learned to live beyond what was expected. And that's something that we have to be conscious of that. We speak of so many things like the carbon, that we spend, because the carbon dioxide that we exhale, and that all the other fumes from the vehicles, all these problems are there. So we have to change our ways. How do we change our ways? That's where I would like to say just 4 words. One of the verses of the Karanimita Sutta, the second verse, which says, Santussakocha subarocha appakichocha sallahuka buddhi. And that's really a very good recipe for all of us. Santussakocha, be contented. Try to live, with what we have. We have to energetically, we have to do what we are doing with energy, with all energy, full of energy, utsahavanta, but the thing is, once we get something, try to be contented with that, and always try not to get more and more and more. So contented life is santusa. It's also mentioned santutti paraman dhanang. It's the greatest wealth is contentment. Santussa koja subaroja. That's another important quality that we have to develop, that has been easily supportable. We should be able, the children should know, there are so many people, we are happy, the middle class and the upper class children, families, we should be happy that we have so much for us. But thing is, even in this country, there is squalor, there are children who don't have a square meal a day. So Subharocha, we should be contented and we should be easily supportable. And also Santussakoja, Subharocha, Appakicha, that means you should have limited activities, in the sense of no responsibilities. We take on responsibilities, but try to be a life where you have a few things to do. More you have to do, you have to spend more time on those things. You get worried, there's so much of stress. But the thing is, if you can limit the span of work, if you can limit it, and you say Appakicha with little, what we do as against Bahukicha, that too much of actions, too much of activities, too much of responsibilities, we have lesser and lesser, and that we should plan our life. And Sallahu Kauti finally is the livelihood that we simple live in. We have to live simply, because all our wants, simple wants are there, and after we get those wants, we should be satisfied. So these are extremely, if you can just follow these words of the Buddha and contemplate on these four things, or the four doctrinal things that I just mentioned, Santussakoja, Subharocha, Appakichoja, Sallahuka Buddhi. And there's another aspect I would like to stress. So when you have all the time, you may there could be hindrance. One hindrance that could come up is lethargy. You'll be sleeping, you'll be doing so many things. But again, it's always, I would urge, parents and children together to plan your time, to manage your time profitably. And that's another important aspect that we can learn. We can really, because of this COVID situation, we can train ourselves to manage our time. And if we don't manage our time, we'll be at the end of the COVID, all of us will be obese. That's very, very fat. And we don't want that to happen to our children. We want the children to be energetic, to be doing what time, always punctuality, with punctuality, to do things in time. So I think that's a message I like to give during this Vesak. We are at home, we spend the time profitably, we know that we plan and manage the time that we have, and we try to find out what excesses that we have in our life, and try to shed those, let go those excesses. And there are so many in the outside world who do not have even a square meal, and to them that we have to provide them. And that's karuna, that's compassion, that's loving kindness. So I hope you will change. I think you will listen to these words of wisdom of the Buddha and then change your lives. Sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. May you be well and happy.